Right, I'm just going to do a quick kind of backup post to talk about sort of how we've because I've talked briefly in the development post in regards to sort of improv and how we've put together the plot in terms of we have like a set kind of criteria. We've got the hook, the crisis, the mini crisis, all that kind of thing. I just wanted to quickly, in maybe a 5 minute post, just kind of discuss how that relates to how we've actually put together the script for Dispossessed. In regards to the hook, I think because that's the specific art example I've used in the post. In regards to the hook, the way that we achieve, the way that we kind of melded together this sort of very sort of paint by numbers concept of script writing and narrative writing and improvisation as a technique for getting footage. We've kind of basically what we do is we'd set up, so right, we've got the hook, point of the hook, introduce the characters, make something happen that's going to draw in the viewer, basically. So, for example, with scene one, what we did with that is we'd have Tony, he's kicking off and screaming in his room, and we've got the dilemma of Paul, he's having to hold the door shut and he's terrified, okay? So we're introducing the characters, and we've had to think, basically, like I said, we've condensed down the characters. So Paul, kind of the most distilled way that we can deal with him as a person in that scene, kind of because we have to be black and white about it, I think, to start with, just to give people an idea of what's going on. Paul's kind of he's clearly terrified, so it asserts the fact that he's not, like, while he tries to be this sort of egocentric manly man kind of thing, he's actually just a scared kid at the end of the day. So that's kind of there through the fact that he's obviously terrified with sort of Tony's just lunged at him. But at the same time, he's trying very hard to still be the manly man, and that comes through in the scene, actually. If you have a look in the final piece, kind of, well, on the one hand, he's obviously terrified holding this door shut and like panicking to get help from everyone else. On the other hand, when they're sort of trying to deal with the situation in their own way, he's terrified of going back in there, and that all comes through. I hope so, anyway. It's up to you as the viewer to decide. So, yeah, that's kind of like, for example, yeah, that's like the scene, and we've got like the hook that we had. The way that we dealt with the drawing in the viewer was obviously having Tony freaking out and that kind of thing to really sort of start with a bang and make the viewer sort of go, oh wow, this is something that I really want to stick with and really want to watch. Another thing, I'm trying to think, practically speaking, on the day of the shoot, sort of how we conceded what we wanted in terms of plot with the actual improv itself is what we did was we actually kind of discussed, we just said to the actors, right, okay, this is scene one, the way it's going to start is we're going to have Neil, who's playing Paul, you're going to burst through the door. What's happened is Tony's just lunged at you, you've gone into his room to tell him to shut up, he's just lunged at you, you've ran out of the room terrified, and you've barricaded the door shut, and you've got Tony the other side of you going, "Whoa!" So your motivation for this scene, I'm talking to the invisible actor here, your motivation for this scene is to just basically be terrified. You want to sort the situation out because you're scared and you don't want to be around this stuff anymore. To Callum, who played Mark, we said to him, like, your thing for this scene, your character, he's this is his time off for the evening. He's trying to have a relax, and he just doesn't want to be bothered. And then all of this stuff's happening around him, and he just wants it out the way. Just quickest, most logical way of dealing with the situation. And then you've got Jay, who played Luke, and Luke's character, because Luke's character is meant to be quite simple. He kind of doesn't really get the gravity of the situation, so he's just sort of happily sort of like deer in the headlights, a bit lost, and. So I'd tell all this stuff to the actors, and then I'd say, right, let the scene play out, and where it's going to end is we're going to have you guys, basically, you need to decide that you're going to barricade the door shut. So I said, I'd say to them, like, this scene is probably going to be about 5 minutes long, and then, because when it's come to the edit, we've cut down big chunks of stuff. So we'd say, right, 5 minutes long, these are your character motivations, this is where you need to end up, go. And because we've made a big point out of trying to create a lot of conflict in the characters, what happened on the actual shoot was really nice. The fact that it actually worked, and we kind of got this sort of state of, because their characters were so different to each other and stuff like that, and they'd naturally antagonize each other with these sort of character, like how they are as people, essentially. Created arguments and that kind of thing, and that was a motif that we really wanted to stick with for the actual full piece. That's something that we stuck with for actually the whole piece itself. It was basically just, right, here's what we need to achieve from the scene, here's how we're going to generate conflict, tell the actors, let them play out the conflict, and then they'd form arguments as the improv went along. But yeah, that'll be this post for now. Thanks for listening.